It was expected to be a good batting wicket there at Edgbaston, but it turned out to be anything but a good batting day for the Australian team. They were knocked over for 223. It all started with the new ball bowlers for England in Chris Woakes and Jofra Archer. At one stage, Australia were 3 for 14, never quite recovered. Yes, there was that partnership of 103 runs between Smith and Carey, which is what propelled them to a score beyond 200. But then the English bowlers were on fire. The new ball bowlers came back for the second spell, also picked up crucial wickets. Adil Rashid also chipping in with the wickets in the middle. 3 wickets for him, 3 for 54 figures there for the lone spinner for England. You're watching ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. I'm in company of Ajit, Agarkar and Dan Vettori. Dan, it's not quite 240 that India were chasing in the semi-final, but do you think this Australian team can pull off a New Zealand?
I don't want to associate the two. Look, I don't. It's not the wicket that, once again, everyone predicted. I don't think I trust anyone who predicts a wicket these days, because they once again talked about being flat, big score. It looked like it slowed up, and it was tricky. And I think if Australia can replicate the fast bowling that England had in those first 10 overs, then I think they have a chance. I mean, England's first 10 overs is impeccable. 3 games in a row, 3 crucial games against India, New Zealand, and now this one. And I can only think of one bad ball. It was the first ball today to Warner. Apart from that, they've just been perfect.
All right, just looking at that pitch that Dan talks about, not as easy with whatever you saw, the evidence of what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, the bowling was exceptional. I think England did everything right most of that innings. And it doesn't look as a straightforward a pitch as everyone predicted. And everyone said it will stay really good for 100 overs. There's something in it. There's an odd ball, which, I mean, the ball to Warner, again, if you look, sort of almost, it was good bowling, but took off.
Yeah, the point that Dan was making, I'd like you to talk about that he can only remember one bad ball in the first, power play.
Yeah, just great lengths. I mean, even that ball to Finch early on, just the perfect ball. Wouldn't be proud of that review, but great. It's just good, consistent bowling from England. I mean, those numbers tell you the story. The good length and the right length. I mean, good length can vary for every pitch, but they had lots of options through the course of the innings. The only thing I think Dan and me spoke about was Chris Woakes could have continued for a bit longer his first spell, as well as he was bowling. But it's clearly the runs aren't enough. But Australia have got the runs on the board, and England have to go out and get it.
There was that one criticism for their bowling, as he says, probably could have continued with Chris Woakes. The other thing is not even ended up with his 10 overs. I know England would take it at this stage, but still.
I think they would. I think the way that they bowled, and I think the reason that probably Woakes didn't come back early was Rashid bowled well as well, and he became a wicket taker for them. I think every game that Rashid plays, Morgan just gets a feel for him, how he's going, how he's bowling, whether he's going to be
a really good day to
whether he's going to be a wicket taker for them, and he rides that a little bit and lets them go, because he knows he's got so much backup with likes of Stokes, Plunkett and Wood. They all bowled exceptionally well. It's just simple as that. I mean, we say that Woakes should have bowled more, but everyone who got given a task did the job.
I don't know, Brad, what sort of conversation and whether players really look at some stats in that mid-inning break, but do you think at the moment Aaron Finch would have something to say about England's record? Tell his boys there that the 4 times that they've chased in this particular World Cup, they've lost 3 encounters, and some of them were low-scoring encounters.
Oh, there's no doubt they'll have those statistics, and Aaron Finch will certainly be reminding his team of what can happen and what happened only 24 hours ago, where New Zealand defended 240. So, look, anything can happen in big games, and there's no reason why Stark and Berendorf can't have England 3 for 15. They've got the artillery. If the ball moves a fraction, they're certainly dangerous. But it was a good performance by England. They dominated. They learned from the mistakes of last time where they played at Lords and they bowled short. They were erratic. This time they pitched the ball up. If there was any movement, they found it, and they got off to the perfect start in Australia, always on the back foot.
All right, yes, Australia do have that artillery. If you just look at Stark and Berendorf, picked up 9 wickets in that previous game that these two teams played. Let's now take you live to Edgbaston. Joining us from there, Melinda Farrell, Murali, Kartik and Graeme Swann. Before I throw it to you, Melinda, polite applause there for Graeme Swann. Gets his predictions right all the time. He said Guptill will get the runs. He got that direct hit. He picked Butler to get those runs today. Got a direct hit already. So he's bang on as far as his predictions are concerned. Over to you, Mel.
Well, there you go. You've had your crystal balls out and had a crystal ball out and had a look at what's going on. You were right on that one. Look, it was a pretty amazing bowling performance. You looked very happy early on, didn't you?
I was delighted with how England bowled in the first 10. Lords, as you say, they bowled too short on a pitch that was more helpful than this. Chris Woakes and Jofra Archer bowled magnificently. By the way, Alex Carey must be the toughest man in the world. Not only being hit, catching the helmet, then just waving to the physio, I think I might have a cut. Blood on his shirt. Kudos to you. Well done, mate. But after those 3 early wickets that were obviously a huge fillip for England, the partnership that Smith and Carey then had shows me that this wicket is not a bad pitch. It's got a bit in for the bowlers. That doesn't mean a bad pitch, by the way. If it spins a bit and does a bit, that means a good cricket wicket, for goodness sake. It's always about the batsman, isn't it? So there is, if you get your head down and bat properly, you can score. My only worry is that if England go for it early on, Roy and Bess are how they want to play. If it comes off, of course, you win the game easily. If they do lose 2 or 3 early wickets, you then have to rebuild and try and chase a small total that England couldn't manage against Sri Lanka. But that's 1%. I'm 99% certain game over.
Oh, that's a big one. You mentioned Alex Carey there. I can tell you, he did get a cut on his chin. Been told it's no worse than that, and he will keep in the second innings. Of course, Peter Hanscom now on the side, so he could do it if necessary, but he's okay. The other thing is, a little bit worried about some of the clouds overhead. That could make obviously a big difference in this second innings, couldn't it, Kartik?
Yeah, especially for the bowlers, because you have that. That's all they have to defend, and they have to come out and defend. And why not? If you have only 223. With a bit of cloud cover, I feel looking at that pitch, there was some indifferent bounce, the odd one shooting through. I personally, once again feel that Pat Cummins could be a key bowler. Yes, Stark and Behrendorff are going to be vital, but I feel Pat Cummins' length and the kind of bowler he is, he could trouble the English batsmen. They have to go all out. That's all they have. It's the semi-final. As I said, 223 is all you have to defend.
How impressed were you by the way that Smith and Carey and even Stark sort of pulled that back a little bit?
Yeah, Smith, look, you know how he's going to be. A bit of an ants in the pants kind of a player, but he has not been getting very pretty runs. He's not a very pretty player, but he's very effective, and that's exactly what it was. He's not been the most fluent, whatever by his standards, but again, just to be there for your country, just to get those runs at that point of time, I thought brilliant from him. Alex Carey, I think every time you see him, it just seems to be just one better, and Swann is spot on. Just to have the presence of mind after being knocked by Jofra Archer to catch your helmet, that was just brilliant, and just the way he fought hard after that, I think just brilliant from both of them. Stark, again, we can see him throwing the long handle and also just a bit of a digging in kind of an innings today. I personally felt that in between, could they have sent Maxwell up? That was something which I thought ahead of Stoinis, because Maxwell came in a bit of a should I hit, should I block sort of a mindset. I don't think Maxwell bats well when he bats like that.
Well, you mentioned Stoinis. Tell me how you enjoyed or how much you enjoyed that googly from Rashid.
Well, as a spin bowler, you know if someone picks you or not. You've played against him before. Rashid obviously knows he hasn't. It was perfect. A flighty leg spinner followed by a quicker flat googly. Intelligent bowling. And, Stoinis hasn't had a great World Cup. We were talking off air. Bits and pieces cricketer, we reckon.
Oh!
One for Sanjay. But he's not really given with the bat. When you put up, I absolutely agree. If you've got Maxwell in the team, you say to him, look, we are under the pump here. We need to, throw the caution to the wind. Up you go, smash it everywhere. He was caught between a rock and a hard place, thankfully, for England. Going into this game, Australia would have given anything to get 270, 280 on the board. England would have absolutely bitten your arm off to chase 223. They will be the very happy team at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know if your crystal ball is as accurate as him. Do you feel 99% sure?
Yeah, I feel as well. As long as you don't have too many overheads and there is a chance of rain at around 4 to 5, even then I'm pretty sure that you can get 20 overs in by then time.
I don't. Who would that advantage?
England for sure.
There you go.
England for sure.
Okay, so look, it's all been decided here. Yes, there might be some showers, but these two have just decided between themselves, 99% sure that England's going to win.
Isn't it? 2011 the home team won, 2015 the home team won, possibly 2019 as well.
Why are we even bothering? Send England and book your place to Lords now.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Mel. Just taking a look at, just realizing that we've got more spinners on our panel than a fast bowler and a batsman. Dan, do you want to take your words back after hearing Swanny there? If you want to be part of the spin bowlers club, say it's a good wicket to play on. You know, if it's turning, doesn't mean it's a bad wicket.
Yeah, I normally agree with Swanny most things. I don't agree with his predictions, but I agree with everything else that he talks about.
Okay, talking about, just looking at that game, Brad, what do you make of that 99% Murali, Kartik, Graeme, Swann thing? This game is all and done.
Well, I mean, they're on the grounds over there, aren't they, at Birmingham? So you got to be up and about. I don't think so. I think there's a lot more pressure still on England to get this job done. Yeah, the surface looks pretty good, actually. The overhead conditions, which Kartik was talking about, certainly should aid the fast bowlers of Australia, Cummings, Behrendorff and Stark, and they need to make early wickets. There's no doubt that they need inroads, and if Roy and Bairstow get off to a good start, which they have done most times in this tournament, Australia are going to be in trouble. But there's one thing the Australians will do, they'll fight and scrap and they'll play as hard as they possibly can until every run's gone out of that scoreboard. So it's still going to be a mouth-watering contest. Aaron Finch will make a lot of changes if things aren't going well. He's captained pretty well throughout this tournament, but they'll step up. Stark, Cummings, Behrendorff. It's going to be pretty tricky.
Okay, let's take a look at how the English bowlers have performed. The one thing that everyone was talking about, if you really need to beat this Australian team, you need to make inroads in their top order, and we'll see how they've performed in the power play. Just taking a look at the lowest totals in the power play, especially in the knocked out games, and we've seen this sort of trend emerge, and this is India, New Zealand, Australia, and then India again. As you can see, that those few games that we've got, you're getting low totals there, especially in the first 10 overs as we're seeing, and 24, 27, that's about being the range. This probably is indicative of the fact, Ajit, that pressure games, and this is what it does to you.
Yeah, I mean, there was lots of talk about 400s and 500s. I'm actually happy that the ball's done a little bit. I think it just evens up the contest a bit. It gives the bowlers a chance, and we'll find out how good or bad that pitch. Not bad, but how difficult it is to score runs on that. I think you've got to give a lot of credit to how England bowled. I mean, that's why the runs were down, and once you get Finch and Warner out, there was obviously a lot of pressure. It's similar to what India went through after they lost their top order. The squeeze was on, couldn't easily rotate strike, and but for Smith's brilliance, Australia would have been in even bigger trouble.
We were talking, sorry, you wanted
No, I was going to say, I think it makes a better spectacle as well, I think.
Sure.
Because you don't actually know what's going to happen in the game. When you get on the flat wickets and teams just teeing off, you know it's going to be 300, 350, and so there's a predictability around the game, whereas now you have to stay and watch every ball because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Just talking about that plan that the English bowlers had against the Australian team, we spoke about it at the pre-show, that this is something that they've gone with, get Archer and Vokes to do that power play. They didn't deviate from that, and it's clearly paying dividends because the start, I mean, it was a dream start for them.
Yeah, and like we talked about before, 3 games in a row, such important games, and they have just been perfect. They're not big movers of the ball, but they bowl fast and just do enough with it. And I think that's what makes them so dangerous, is that little bit of movement either way puts pressure on batsmen, puts pressure on very good batsmen too, because Australia was so reliant on their top order, and it was countered and met so well with the impeccable bowling from England.
I mean, Archer's been exceptional through the World Cup, but Vokes' form towards the end of that group stage and this game now is just exceptional. I mean, that ball to get Warner, you needed to produce something special to get Warner with the kind of form that he's been in, and he looked good again today when he started. So those two at the top, set England well on their way.
Just taking a look at Archer's number there, look at that economy there, picked up the 2 crucial wickets. I'm just wondering, how is it that a batsman must think to play against him? On most occasions, he's at 150 clicks and then comes with those knuckle balls that when you're expecting a short ball or a quicker one, he brings in that 120 deliveries. I'm just wondering what the batsman must be thinking.
Yeah, clearly, they haven't figured it out yet through this World Cup. I mean, it's obviously difficult to face anyone who bowls 150 clicks, but with the control that he has, he doesn't really try and overdo things. He keeps it simple. It's good lengths, has a nasty bouncer. We've seen multiple times in this competition, and which is what makes the slower ball then as effective as it was. A couple of times that he's bowled. Maxwell looked good at that point. Now he's clearly been not the difference, but clearly made England a lot stronger than they were before this tournament or before his inclusion.
And because he's so consistent, it puts so much pressure on the batsman, and it's easier said than done for the batsman to try and release that pressure by stepping out or being aggressive, because it's a World Cup semi-final and these guys want to bat for a long period of time, and when someone is bowling that fast, that consistently from both ends, it just builds and builds and builds.
Right, not only is Jofra Archer fast, he's got the attitude of the fast bowler as well. Hits the batsman flush on the helmet, but no reaction after that. We'll take a short break. 224, that's the magical figure. Then we'll talk about it after.
In the 2007 Cricket World Cup, Ed Joyce represented the England cricket team, while Ian Morgan stepped out for Ireland. And why exactly is this intriguing? Well, you see, in the following World Cup of 2011, it was Joyce who turned up for Ireland, while Morgan played for England.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, UK 2019. It's the second semi-final, mid-innings at the moment. Australia have already batted all out for 223. Now, it doesn't seem like a big total right now for the English team to chase, but let's take a look at how they've performed in chases. As I mentioned even earlier in the program, that they've had 4 matches and they've won only 1, lost 3. The 3 losses that they've had in this World Cup is the time that they were chasing. Average score that they've been chasing slightly over what they'd be chasing today at 245. Average runs per wicket, as you can see, at 31.61. Ajit, that's the point that we were saying. One is the pressure of a knockout game. The other, the weight of expectations. I know home fans really help you out sometimes. Sometimes they put you under pressure.
Yeah, they'll need a good start. I mean, that will be the ideal thing for England to happen, if they can get some sort of start, even if it's even if Jason Roy and Bairstow don't blaze away. If they can get some sort of start, because Jason Roy didn't play that Lord's game, and it was a different pitch. But because they lost early wickets, the pressure was always on. And if they don't lose that, I think again 223 is not a big score with that batting lineup, and they will be feeling confident, especially after the last 2 games that they've had.
Okay, let's take a look at Jason Roy's numbers now. This is in ODIs. When Jason Roy gets a 50 overall, 84.6% of the times England win. In 2019, that stat is at 100%. So all you need to do is ensure Australia needs to do, Brad, is get Jason Roy's wicket before he gets to 50, and you've got matters sorted, huh?
Yeah, we'll take him for 49. We'll see. Anything under 30 for Jason would be a good result for Australia. I mean, he's in dynamic touch. And, our bowlers need to pull off something which the English did against Finch and Warner. We need to pull out some special deliveries to get rid of Bairstow. He's in good touch, and Jason Roy. And we know how destructive he is. These grounds aren't big enough for him, and he's such a dominant player when he feels good about his game, and he's certainly in that space. It's not surprising that record is there, because they've got such a long batting depth, the English team. And if Roy gets off to 50 or more, they're going to score 300, and this total is not going to be enough.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just look at that record there. He's averaging, 68 in this World Cup. Dan, before people forget, everyone's going to bring that game up. That game that, England lost, there was no Jason Roy. Him coming back changes that equation?
It does a bit. I think you've seen the confidence from the English team once Roy's come back in, and he's been able to blaze away at the top of the order. And in a lot of ways, I hope that England play the conditions, because I think it will be tricky there. And if they lose quick wickets being aggressive, then they're going to put that pressure on their team, and it's going to build and build and build again. So I hope they assess conditions. They may need to get through Stark and Beredorf, because they're so attacking, so such good opening bowls and will swing. And if they get through that, then it's just going to get easier and easier, particularly in such a small chase.
One thing, he is in good form. The other, he loves to get runs against Australia. Out of those 900s, 3 are against Australia.
Yeah, that's a great stat to have. And good form coming into the game. So they'll be wanting him to get going again.
All right, we'll have to wait and watch how is it that the English openers perform. That'd be the key for Australia if they have to defend this very, very low total. The chase then coming up for the English team. That's all that we have here. Okay, but we can continue talking on ESPN Cricinfo Digital. Let's now talk about, Jason Roy, and then he'll be coming up against someone like Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc, and those are the two bowlers that we saw have been doing rather well then for the Australian team. The last time Behrendorff also chipped in with those wickets, the 9 wickets between the two of them, and this is Jason Roy's record versus Starc. He's dismissed him 4 times, and versus Cummins as well as 3 times there. Would you now, Ajit, be tempted to give the new ball to Pat Cummins? He's been taken away from that. Ever since that happened, he's dropped in terms of wickets as well.
Not really. I think Behrendorff needs to bowl with the new ball. Does get a little bit of movement earlier on and a little bit of extra bounce with the height that he has. Pat Cummins can still come in when the ball's a little bit older. I mean, first change and then still hit the deck hard. So Starc's going to bowl fast and full anyway. And if there was a little bit of swing on offer when England bowled. And that is always a challenge for a right-hander. If any left-hander can get the ball to swing in, they'll have to try and keep it out earlier on. I think Lords, we saw it, even though Jason Roy wasn't there, how difficult they made it for the right-handers. Root's wicket was a classic example of how Starc set him up for their LBW. So, no, I think Behrendorff does get the ball to move earlier on, so he's got to bowl with the new ball.
That's the interesting thing about stats. You can present it just the way you want. One we had for, making a case for Cummins to be bowling with the new ball. The other bit, just taking a look at that, England openers don't handle left-arm pacers very well. They're averaging, roughly about 22. In that case, you might as well have the 2 left-arm pacers to begin with.
I think so, and it's their role as well. It's what they're comfortable doing. It's the time that's going to swing the most, and they swing the ball, whereas Cummins looks to seam the ball. He bowls back of a length, and he can be effective throughout the whole innings, like the 2 left-armers, but those 2 left-armers want to swing the ball, they want to attack the pads early on, and I think gives Australia's best chance of dismissing those English openers.
Okay, now meanwhile, this is the second semi-final, then there's going to be a gap between the semis and the final, and let's find out then what ESPN's Isha Acton and the winner of the ESPN Cricinfo Visit Britain Biggest Fan Challenge, Veronica Jose, are up to as they visit Richmond Park and other exciting places in London.
Hi guys, it's me, Isha Acton. It's day 3 of the ESPN Cricinfo Visit Britain Biggest Fan Challenge. We are in the largest royal park in the country, Richmond Park. We're just a 30-minute drive from central London. Veronica is going to check out the park in true English fashion, and I'm on foot. Can't wait to see more. So we're now in the heart of East London, just a stone's throw away from Brick Lane. And Gary from Alternative London has very kindly offered to take us around town. He's brought us to Gunpowder Restaurant. What are we in for, Gary?
So, as you probably know, Brick Lane is the home of the largest Bangladeshi community outside of Bangladesh. So this place is very famous for curry, but Gunpowder is a bit different. It's got Indian food right from the north to the south of India. It's loads of small little sharing plates, and I personally think that the food here is phenomenal.
So we're used to seeing colourful, vibrant signs all over India. Now someone has suggested we check out this place, God's Own Junkyard, and apparently we're in for a neon wonderland, so I'm super excited for this. Veronica's downstairs waiting for me, can't wait to see it for myself.
Everywhere you look, you'll find something.
Why travel for the unexpected, and what an unexpected way to finish another fantastic day touring London. We hope you guys stay tuned to all the action, so until next time, it's a bye from me.
All right, if you're in London, in that gap between the semi-final and the finals, you know what to do there. Final comments, Brad, coming to you. We're just looking at contests within this big battle between England and Australia. Last time we saw Mitchell Starc to Owen Morgan, peppering him with short pitch deliveries. Kevin Peterson coming out and saying, oh, he looks scared. You expect plenty of that to happen today?
Yeah, I've got no doubt. Yeah, I hope so. I really hope that Australia come firing out. But look, there's one player in that Australian lineup don't discount, and that's Nathan Lyon. I think he'll bowl particularly well on this surface. To the left-handers in particular, Owen Morgan, Ben Stokes, if we see him. Look, I hope we see a few early wickets, and we do see these guys in the middle order exposed to this new ball. And let's see if KP's right. I don't think he's right all the time, but hopefully he's right tonight.
You wanted to make a point there?
No.
Okay.
No,
You're just enjoying Brad Hodge and his
I just enjoyed listening.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us, Brad Hodge, Dan Vettori and Ajit Agarkar. It's a small total that Australia are defending the records, not really favouring them. England have won the last 10 internationals they played here. That's all that we have for you. Thanks so much for joining us.